Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim, Rachah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, true well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there. You Akim to Sadakim, that they're just sticking the utmost truth and sincerity. On the pre-Shemon, this week's topic is going to be entitled Trump bans Cbdc / he dreamed we all didn't make it. And I'm kind of have to combine two shows because the latter part of the show was something I was going to do yesterday. And today's lesson is just, breaking news kind of situation that Trump signed an executive order banning Cbdc. Now, I know I've been suspended on many different channels, but if you've been following the lessons, this is something I was speaking about back in last year. I first touched on it back in May of 2024 when Fed Chairman Powell came out. He's been saying it for a while that he does not want to go a central bank digital currency route. I also touched upon it back in November when Trump said one of the things he wants to do is ban Cbdc, central bank digital currency. And I've been saying this since 2020. I remember doing this lesson back in 2020 that the collapse of the United States dollar doesn't necessarily mean get rid of the dollar, eliminate the dollar to introduce a chip. The collapse could just mean a changement of payment system. And the analogy I used, or the comparison I used back in 2020, and I'm still using it to this day, is in New York City, if you're old enough to remember, to get on the MTA, you were able to use tokens, right? Tokens. And that was changed, to MetroCards. And now, fast forward, now we have Omni system, right? So we have 3 different payment systems over the course of a couple decades. But guess what? They were all pegged to the United States dollar. And it's the same too with this RFID chip. It does not require a central bank digital currency. Now, what they did pose is something called a stable coin, a US stable coin, whether that be USDC or RLUSD. It doesn't matter. It's still pegged to United States dollar, whether you want to use a Ripple. The difference between a Cbdc and a stable coin is the stable coin is privately insured, wherein the Cbdc is sort of act as monetary policy and controlled more by the federal bank. All right, the Cbdc is something that is currently used in China, for example. It'll be very hard to push it in the United States. There'll be a lot of pushback. But a black swan event could always change the narrative, could always change your speak. Assassination of Trump, a black swan, these things could culminate into a chip that is backed by a central bank digital currency. However, it doesn't have to be, when you read about the chip is a payment system, and a payment system that uses transactions, right? When you're dealing with transactions, especially on the world stage, you need liquidity. And this is why the US dollar is so powerful, right? It accounts for 51% of the world reserve currency. And I remember saying this when I did the lesson back in BRICS. I highlighted the fact that the BRICS, the whole purpose of BRICS is not to introduce a BRICS currency. It's not to ditch the dollar and use a BRICS currency. It's to adopt a different payment system that they don't have to go through SWIFT or CHIPS clearinghouse. Okay, they don't have to go to a US clearinghouse or a US payment system. They can use a BRIC payment system. Okay, they could do bilateral trade and international trade. All right, and doing that with the BRICS payment system to avoid sanctions, not to ditch the dollar. They have plenty of dollars. India, which is a part of BRICS, love the United States dollar. They plan to keep using it. Why drop? Because when you implement a new world currency, that's something that takes decades, brothers. It takes a very long time to do. And it's like, why adopt a new currency, when you have this currency right here that provides liquidity? Anytime you're dealing with transactions, you're dealing with markets, you need the liquidity. You need a bid and an ask. You need a buyer and a seller. And it's just far easier to just use the United States dollar. It's backed by the world's most powerful military. It's been around for a while. And it's backed by the largest country's GDP, 21 trillion by far. The second closest to liquidity in terms of the United States dollar is the euro, right? Which accounts for 20%. And even though China has like 1 billion people in population, their currency is like 4%. So this is how come ditching the dollar and starting a whole new currency would take far too long. It's just far more easier to come up with a new payment system, all right, and just peg it to the United States dollar. And that's what we're seeing them do, and so that's the update on that. I also want to mention too, brothers, if you're reading articles about Trump wants a weaker dollar or Trump wants to weaken the dollar, please don't get it confused with that Trump wants to destroy the dollar. It's two different things, okay? When he wants to weaken the dollar, he means he wants to lower the interest rates. He wants to lower the interest rates here in America to do what? To compete with other nations. There's something called a carry trade. CARRY trade, okay, which involves borrowing money from a nation that has a lower interest environment like Japan, which is let's say 0.5%, and investing that money you borrowed into a nation that has a high interest rate like Australia at 4.5%. You profit the difference. It's called a carry trade. A few months ago, the stock market crashed big time because Japan raised rates, so that's why it happened. So when he says he wants a weaker dollar, it's to compete. Very similar to what that guy in Argentina did. He did to save his currency was he destroyed it by 50%, meaning it's more you have more profitable trades that way when your country has a weaker dollar. So he's doing that to combat these other nations that take advantage of that, like Germany, like Japan, and so forth, okay? Even China. He's trying to strengthen China's dollar and weaken the US dollar. Also, real quickly, Donald Trump Jr., he posted on X that he has no intentions to be with the RFID microchip. But however, Ecclesiasticus 12:10 tells us to never trust our enemy. So even though he says that, you can't trust your enemy, all right? You can't trust a so-called white man. So that's just the update on that. So he's been very active with that pen. One thing I noticed with this dude Trump is he's a guy that the shit he says, he's gonna try to do it. And what was different in the past administration was he was inexperienced, and two, he didn't get control of the House till later. Now he understands the shit, and he has control of Congress, so he got about 2 years to go hard as fuck. So he's on fire with that pen, just writing off hella executive orders, man. This shit is very exciting. This is the book of 2 Peter 1:10. Now this is concerning the brother that had a dream, Aharon. He's the Man of Valor camp, and he pretty much dreamt that certain of us didn't make it. He saw certain brothers that didn't make it himself, the priest Amon Gabal, and in the dream the apostles were sort of acting as gatekeepers in terms of Yahushua. If the apostles embraced you, you had made it. But basically certain brothers was kind of scrambling like, yo, and looking at the apostles like, yo, can you give me a pass? And the apostles are sort of looking back like, yo, we can't do shit. It's Yahushua giving the go ahead. And the key takeaway is this: we have to 2 Peter 1:10. Wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For if you do these things, ye shall never fall. Right. So we have to give diligence, man. We have to do our due diligence. I watched the bulk of the lesson, but it was pretty much going into that. It was going to the brothers that didn't trim their lamps. To sum it up, it's going into brothers that have this talent and didn't utilize it. And when the time was come, then they was trying to get their scriptures together to get everything back together. But at that time, it was too late. So with this knowledge, we want to be consistent. We have to cherish what we have, and we have to cherish the fact that we're able to teach. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 19. Nevertheless, the foundation of the Most High standeth sure, having this seal: the Lord knoweth them that are his. Right? So the Most High knows every single spirit that are his. And if you're not of the elect, you're not of the elect. So we hope and pray, and this is always to keep us humble, all right, that we are of the elect. No matter how much shows we do, no matter how much shit you put in or whatever, you still can't be like, I made it. All right, we don't know we made it until we're on the chariots, man. All right, so until then, we gotta keep pushing. We can't fucking play the background. All right, you have to be involved. You have to be proactive in this truth. And in the spirit that brother had that dream, and that video caught a lot of traction. Why? Because the Most High wanted brothers to see that. You see, to make us know, look, man, don't fucking get comfortable. Don't feel like I've been in this a number of years and fuck that. I'll treat every single day in the truth like you're the last person that has it. The Apostle of Tahar told us that himself. He said that's how he pictured himself. I'm the only one with this truth. I'm not thinking other brothers are going to do lessons on this or touch this. No, I'm the only one with this truth. I got to push. That's the mindset you got to have, because if you keep thinking like, oh, other brothers are going to touch it, guess what? You're going to be lackadaisical and you're going to be inconsistent. All right? It says, the Lord knoweth them that are his, and let every one that nameth the name Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Hamashach Yahushai, okay, depart from iniquity. Right? So you got to call on the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai to depart from iniquity. All right? I'm going to kind of speed up the second part of the lesson, because that part with the CBD situation was not planned. Hebrews chapter 6 verse 11, it says, and we desire that every one of you do show the same diligence, right? The same diligence, the same way our apostles are on fire, leading by example, which is awesome. We have to be turned the hell up as well, okay? It says, to the full assurance of hope unto the end. And one thing I can't stand, and the most I can't, is excuses, all right? We're not here for excuses, okay? There's 24 hours in a fucking day, okay? It's 24 hours in a day. There's no way you should be putting the max forth effort, all right, to accomplish shit in the world and serve your boss and serve your job more than the Heavenly Father. This should come first. We should always have and make time for this truth. Then the Lord will take care of everything else and bless you in everything else, you know. But first thing first is the word, right? And again, that brother's dream highlighted that, you know. Now this is the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. Kept the word, man. All right. And this is Yahweh Shai speaking. This is in red letters. It says, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which is going back to that RFID microchip. The ultimate payment system is the RFID microchip, okay? And we speak as a man as how they're going to implement it, whether it be a black swan, you know, I personally think, as a man, a cyber attack that requires your biometrics to be linked to your digital ledger is definitely possible. But whatever they do, it doesn't matter. We just know that's going to be mandated at some point, okay? That's going to be the only form of payment system. No cash, no other form of moving cash around, all right, unless through that RFID microchip, which is going to be pinned inside of you, okay, which is the mark of the beast. Anybody else teaching otherwise is not, Most High is not dealing with them, right? It says, the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Okay, so yeah, see, that's gonna come upon all the and you know what, I'll say this much too, with the whole Donald Trump Jr. saying he's not with the chip. This is also something I've been saying through the Spirit, is that they're not unison, or this thing is not scripted like the WWE. I've been saying that for a very long time. All right, it's not, you know, they a wrestling match where everybody's cool behind the scenes. I do believe it's run, and I'm just going based off what I see, off their actions. It's run more like organized crime, you know, just like the Italian mafia. How it's all Italians, they're all mafias, but these different families had different interests, and they will war each other, and that's what it looks like, you know, with these politicians. You know, not all of them align necessarily with every single thing, but that's also prophecy. The scriptures tell us that a house divided shall not stand. This is how come they go back and they fight over the Supreme Court and stuff like that. One might be a Democrat, then they'll flip and go on this side, because they're acting in their own self-interest. You know what I'm saying? I think Game of Thrones is very accurate to what really goes on. All right, these elites, they do, just because they're the elites don't mean that they don't fucking hate each other's guts. You know, how do we know that? Because they try to assassinate each other, kill each other, they're gonna go to war with each other, these sorts of things. It says, behold, I come quickly, hold fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. Hold fast, like, you know, don't fumble the rock, you know, don't fumble the rock. And what happened in that brother's dream was that some brothers fumbled the rock, man, and it is scary, it is humbling, you know. And you pray that, you know, you pray that it's not your lot. You don't pray that's any brother's lot, but we understand the truth of things, and the truth of things is that we're not all going to make it. You know, it is what it is. We just have to deal with that reality. You know, we just got to keep serving the Most High to the best of our ability, and at no point get complacent. I don't have the time to read Luke chapter 19 verse 15 to 23. That's the scriptures I had, so I'm just going to jump straight to 23. So brothers, if you want to read that on your own, Luke 15 to 23 pertaining to this lesson, it reads, wherefore then gavest nor thou my money, Luke 19 and 23, my money to the bank, that at my coming I might have required mine own with usury. Right, so we know that usury is against the scripture, so Yahweh Shai is not meaning it in an unlawful way. He's meaning this money that he gives us, this truth that he gives us, when he comes back, he wants it with interest. This is an investment, okay? So if you were given this truth, this knowledge, and you hid it on a napkin, as the brother said in the video, you were a napkin nigga, right? Then you weren't profitable. You weren't profitable. You have zero ROI. So you're a bad investment. You know what you do with a bad investment? You sell that shit and move on. So with that, I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashim Rachak Wadash. That belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Mosul True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akim to Zadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. Shalom.